It is State of the Arts here on WMAY, the State of the Arts segment. Let's talk arts and entertainment. I'm Kevin Hart, and I'm joined once again with Gus Gordon. How are you doing, Gus?
Kevin, I'm great. How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
There are a lot of things, moving along, opening up, but I think one of the things we have to talk about here, some unfortunate news for the summer for the arts community. The Springfield Muni Opera announced that it is going to be canceling its season this summer and will come back next year.
Yeah, that is very sad. But I got to tell you, I think it's smart, just because we still don't know what's going to happen in the upcoming months. We keep hearing about this UK variant that is so much more contagious, and it's not really even here yet.
Yeah.
And, it's supposed to be widespread by March with 70% more, more contagious. And now they're even saying it could potentially be more deadly, primarily because it'll put more people in the hospital and fill up beds and so forth. So, if that happens in March, if that does come to pass, then that's when people would start to rehearse. And you have to rehearse to do a show. You can't just have it, pop up out of the blue. So, it's very sad, but it's prudent under the circumstances because they don't want to shell out all that money for rights and costumes and get everyone's hopes up just to say, hey, we can't do it after all. And that was a tough decision. They talked about that for a very long time and looked at all of the different sides of the argument. And under the circumstances, it just seemed like the best move at this time to be overly prudent when you're talking about the health of the audience and the health of the actors and staffs and volunteers and everyone involved. And I think if things stay in stage 4 over the summer for an outdoor facility like that, I think I'm not sure, but in phase 4, I think it's 20% capacity. And the simple truth is that the math does not work. As I've said before, you can't put out, and it costs the Muni quite a bit of money to do a show. And if you can't make that back and you're losing money, then it makes better business sense just to wait it out.
Right. And the thing with moving into phase 4, phase 5 even is that that would be, as Dr. Fauci said, and as a lot of people have sort of been thinking, it'd be fall before we'd be able to get into that. And the fall is like the last weekend of like the last Muni show. They start rehearsing out there in April. So it's, and even before that.
Even rehearsing later in March on occasion to get ready for a late May opening.
Yeah. So it's, it does make the most sense, but it is, it is really sad because,
Were you in one of the shows, Kevin?
I was not, but I was very excited to see. It's ironically that what was supposed to be that summer, I was very busy and had a lot of things, and I wasn't able to make several, or I think almost all the shows. Like I was going to miss at least one performance, but everything ended up getting canceled anyways. Like my friend's wedding. We had a reunion for the college radio station, their 50th anniversary. And so there was all this stuff. And so I just said, this year I'm just going to take the summer off. But I mean,
both cast in Ragtime. I was going to play a father in that production. And it was a role that I'd wanted to do for quite some time with a cast and staff that I thought were great. And, postponing it a year, it's like, okay, but now I don't know what happens. I don't know if they're going to start from scratch next year or if they're going to come back to us and say, hey, can you wait another year? But I don't think that'll be the case. I think they'll probably have to start fresh because so many people, even after a year, people have moved out of town. Yeah. People have, changed jobs. And you can't recreate what we would have done in 2020, even this summer. It would have to be different because we've lost a couple of staff members from some of the shows. So it's complicated. And I really sympathize with what they're going through as an organization. And as a cast member myself, I'm really sad about it. But I don't know that I'm personally ready to get back in the thick of things yet with a bunch of people, just personally, So I get it from both angles.
Yeah, and it is tough, and I'm hoping maybe at some point in the future, because there are so many people who wanted to do these shows or in these shows or excited to do them. Maybe sometime in the future, some sort of at least concert or something where they can perform all these songs and all these
Yeah.
scenes from these shows, dances and stuff. So maybe in the future, but yeah, I mean it seems. Yeah, I mean it's unfortunate, but like you said, it really is. Getting back to the normal of what the normal out at the Muni, where in addition to the seats, there's all sorts of people on the lawn. All the close, the concession stand in the bathrooms. Everything's.
I was asked by the director of the Rocky Horror Show, the traditional production at the Hoagland, whether
Yeah,
we would go on this year. And I said, well, I'm not ready to cancel it yet, but logic again tells me that even in October, when we are beginning to open up, we're not going to be able to have a room full of people shouting at the stage. That's
yeah,
not going to be allowed, probably even by that point. Now, I don't know that, of course, so I'm just kind of waiting to see what's happening, and we have a little more luxury at the Hoagland that we can kind of wait it out a little bit longer and then bring it back if we're allowed to, as opposed to having a big season with everything lined up. So, but we're all just playing it by ear and hoping to make the right decision, whatever the right decision turns out to be.
right. Well, we will. Yeah, and it really is just one of those things. If anything's taught us from last year, I mean, really, we gotta just take it. I mean, honestly, day by day. I
Right.
mean, really, we don't.
Inches.
Yeah,
And the Muni is a strong organization with a very rich history. They will be back. They're not going to suffer long term consequences. I don't believe they're going to be back strong as ever with a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of people who have had pent up frustration for the past 2 years who are just going to be auditioning and coming out of the woodwork. So they will rebound.
yeah,
I am very confident.
yeah,
And they have great
absolutely.
leadership and a great board and a great trustee board as well. So they'll be fine in the long term, but it's very disappointing in the short term.
Yeah, it is. But like we said, they will be back as soon as they can be back. And sort of on the subject of that, I talked recently. I mean, it was announced a couple days ago on Facebook. I talked recently with Julie Ratz about the Springfield Ballet Company. Now, speaking of yearly traditions and everything, they had the Nutcracker couldn't go on, and Through Clara's Eyes was wonderful. I watched their documentary.
So did I. It was
And
great.
yes, it was awesome. And they have scheduled both Rock Ballet in October and the Nutcracker, which are on Rock Ballet is October 2nd and 3rd, Nutcracker's December 11th and 12th, and their tentative ballet that they're going to do, they don't know which one it's going to be yet,
Yeah.
the 26th and 27th of February 2022. So they are looking forward, saying, hopefully these, if they can, these will be going on. So
Well, they're in a little different situation in that they're able to still rehearse right now. Now that we're back in phase 4, they can get together in smaller groups. They can put masks on. They can dance 6 feet apart, but they can continue to work their skill set. So when it is safe to come back, they will have perhaps an easier time of getting up to speed with a full production because they will have been training during that time off. Unlike Muni, which just has to kind of wait till it's okay to start. So it's a different situation, and we are supposed to be in a better place by October and into December. So I would think that's a good bet to make. And again, we're all flexible, so if we have to adapt, I'm sure they will adapt as well. But I think that's encouraging that they're making that announcement and keeping hope alive, so to speak, to not coin a phrase, but reuse a phrase, I think is important. And I think I applaud them for what they're hoping to do.
yeah, and me too. And like one of the things Julie said, and I 100% agree with her, is that because I asked her, because this was because I talked to her like probably hours after I found out about the news at the Muni. I'm like, if things go south, what's going to happen? And she said, listen, they're still, and like you said, they're still like as any musician, no matter what you're practicing, whether it's dance, singing, acting, an instrument, you're always practicing, you're always improving, you're
Right.
always, it's you're never like done learning how to do anything. So yeah, she said that's, it's like you said, they will at least be able to, they're back to, rehearsing and
Right.
getting together in groups and everything.
And theoretically, and I haven't talked with Julie about this, but I would imagine, since it's a dance performance, they're not going to be singing and speaking, so they'll have that on their side. People will be, they'll be huffing and puffing because it's very athletic, but they
Yeah.
won't be spreading aerosols quite as far as they would have been if they were singing. So that might be a little safer at that time than singing in a full-fledged chorus or whatnot. So yeah, there are a lot of variables, and there's no simple answer for all groups. Everyone has to look at it a little differently. We were talking with our residents at the Hoagland. We had all the different groups included: Theater Center, Muni, the ballet company, the youth ballet company, the folk dancers, the sound celebration chorus, and the youth symphonies, youth orchestras. And every one of them can do things at a different time. The choruses are going to have the hardest time getting back together because, they have 40 to 60 people standing shoulder to shoulder, all singing out. And that is the kind of the worst combination right now. So choral singing has really suffered. Even with orchestral music, they can put covers on their instruments. They can separate 6 feet. They can do just string arrangements or whatever. There are options, but for choral singing, that's going to kind of be the last thing to come back, I think.
Probably, yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, that's even if every single person is tested or what have you. I mean,
Right.
still, yeah, that's 60 people and singing, as we've said and many people said, is like the one of the worst ways of like spreading out any sort of like anything. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
it's unfortunate, but I also want to talk about you have a announcement I think to make with in regards
Right.
to your Valentine's show, right?
Yeah, we're going to do a virtual Valentine's Day concert. Asni Vigasa came to me with this idea, and so we've put it together. We have a great group, 10 singers, 10 female singers, who will be doing some of the classic standard love songs and Broadway love songs. They'll be recording them individually, so one person at a time, and do a couple of numbers each. We have a trio comprised of Rob Stark and Mark Gifford and Damian Kaplan, who will be providing backup. But the roster is great. We have Hope Cherry, Vanessa Ferguson, Jasmine French, Sarah Geckner, Anna Bussing-Mazenbacher, Alyssa Schultz, Mary Kate Smith, Tiffany Williams, Cinda Reitzman, and then Asni Vigasa as well. So it's a great group of local talent who will be singing some love songs. We'll be streaming that on Valentine's Day weekend for a couple of performances. So we haven't put the tickets on sale just yet, but we will be recording that soon and have it ready to go just in time for Valentine's Day. So if you're at home having a romantic meal and you want some, romantic music in the background and some wonderful love songs, this will be a great combination.
That's awesome. Yeah, that is going to be great. That is going to be such a nice, a nice loving Valentine's Day event, and
Yeah.
several
And you
fabulous
can watch it on your
talented
phone,
singers.
you can watch it on your iPad, on your laptop, your computer, even on your TV screen. So you can, if you're having a romantic boat ride in the middle of Lake Springfield, which I don't think you'd be doing in February, but if you were, you could take your phone along with you and have some great music to go along with it.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Yes, yes, absolutely. And like we said, fabulously talented singers, performers that are going to be there. So that is great. We
We'll
have another
information for you next week of specifics on how to get tickets and so forth.
Yes, and we will get that information to you guys. Absolutely. Want to talk about another interesting streaming event with theater, The Spirit of Lincoln. If you guys remember, it was the show that was done by STC in the Hoagland, and that was a Ken Bradbury, Roger Wainwright show.
Yeah.
Looking for Lincoln is putting on a couple of virtual talks, and they have this on Facebook. If you look out search the Spirit of Lincoln, it'll actually come up because it's the most recent event coming up February 10th. And that is Looking for Lincoln, conversations about the spirit of Lincoln. And it will be, it'll happen. Each episode will have different scenes from the show and talk about it historically. There'll be a live question and answer portion. So that seems pretty interesting. That was a great show, like talking about and some of the historical things about Lincoln's life and the people impacted by him.
Right. No, that's a great idea. A great idea to stay active and get that information out there, and build a new audience too, because putting the theater center together with Looking for Lincoln, you're going to expand your audience base, and that's a really great idea. We've really learned to depend on partnerships, especially during the pandemic, to continue to thrive and to grow even. So yes. I applaud them for doing that. It was a great show, great cast. And it'll be nice to have some insight into how they put it together in some of the stories that were in the production.
Yes. And so that will be definitely interesting to delve into that again, because like we said, that is a show, and I saw the show. I saw the show the one time, but yep. It was always great to, be able to watch some of that again, as well as get some insights. That'll be really interesting. So we will have information, like we said, next week for you guys about the upcoming virtual event, the Valentine's Day event. And, and in terms of these times that we're facing, as we like to say, this too shall pass. We will get there. It can be upsetting, but we will get there. We will all be back doing theater live in person. We're still doing it now, but in the way that we were doing it, we will get there.
Exactly. Hey, Kevin, I also want to mention that
please do.
Center for the Arts, our education department,
yes,
will be offering new classes next week. They begin next week, and people can go to check that out. They can go to our Facebook page, Hoagland Kids, Teens, and Juniors. And if they have students who would like to be involved, we have yoga for performers for grades 4 through 12. Haley Shea is going to be teaching that class, and Autumn Meyer and Matthew Valla will also be teaching courses online. Autumn will be teaching fundamentals of dance for grades 4 through 8, and Mr. Valla will be teaching musical theater design for grades 4 through 8. So there's a lot going on that people can do, and if they want to keep up, learning about the arts, and just go to our Facebook page for more information about that.
Awesome. Yes. Go to the Facebook page. So make sure, because that will be great. I'm sure. Like, thank you for bringing that up again, guys.
Sure, thank you.
Yes. So thank you so much for joining me, Gus, and we will do this again next week.
All right, Kevin. See you later.
See you later. It is State of the Arts.